Hi everyone, I'm going to be showing you 4 different plants that I've created for Paul the parrotfish's habitat. These plants are all perfect for Paul as they provide a place for him to rest, hide and find food. Let's have a closer look at the shapes, colours and textures used to create these. We'll start with the seagrass first. So obviously we've used very curvy and wavy lines to create this shape, and we've joined it at the top at a point. So try to replicate the grass we see it in our playgrounds or at home. So very narrow, some thick parts, and then comes to the point at the top. So very similar all the way along. You'll notice some darker greens in the background. I've tried to let you imagine that they're very tight together and the darker ones see less sunlight. Now to touch, they're very smooth, very soft. Similar to the grass outside that we could pick up and touch. Very silky. Moving over to the brain coral, first thing you see is the fact that it looks like a human brain. It also takes the shape of an igloo for me, a very flat bottom and a very rounded top. Inside the brain coral, there's a lot of wavy lines here, a lot of curved lines, a lot of round, smooth lines. There's no sharp lines at all. To touch here, the darker lines are very grainy, and then the light colours in the centre here are very smooth. So if you were to touch that, it would be very similar to if you were running your finger across concrete. Smooth and grainy. Over here is the algae. This one is very splotchy in shape. Similar if you have a small ball of mud, threw it at the wall, splat, it would make a very similar shape to this one. Again, the shapes of the actual algae are round. There's no real pattern to it. They look very similar, like you were to if you were to look up at the clouds. They look similar, but they're not the same. The space along here we've used algae is a growing plant, so it's similar to a vine that you see in trees or on a fence line. It starts at one point here and works its way up. The touch, they're very soft. I've gone a bit dark on the edges, but they don't have a grainy feel, and the middle is very soft to touch. I've gone very light in there. Similar to if you're rubbing your fingers together, they're a little bit grainy, but they're very smooth at the same time. Move up here to the staghorn coral. Lots of yellows in this one, darker yellow at the base, and as we get to the top of the plant, it's more of a lighter yellow. There's a couple of red and browns mixed in there as well. This here, the staghorn coral, has little tiny bumps on it. I've used this piece to represent that. Again, where it's dark, it is raised. When I rub my finger along that, I'm getting very similar feeling to when I put my finger along bubble wrap. That's the feeling I get there. Again, the colours, some darker browns down here, red just at the base. Again, they're all darker, and then as we get to the top, it is a lot lighter. Very important here, the shapes we see. Very straight, slightly curved, rigid lines, also coming to a point, a very sharp point. So a lot of these are very close together, taking up space very close together, but very pointy.